Here is the think tank of GMS Limited Hong Kong. My name is Thomas Schwartz, and today we are talking about moisture measurement, or maybe better, how we can do without. Since around 7 years, we are using our beloved Marlow device for measuring the moisture content of our garments. Since we are doing this in 7 years, we have not a single case of a full container lost because of mold. So today I would say it really works. Now, are we really interested in the moisture content of a garment? The truth is absolutely not. There are basically two factors which are very important for the exponential growth of mold. One of those is nutrition. The mold spores need nutrition to grow, but nutrition is there almost everywhere in the environment. Sometimes it's the material itself, like for example wool or silk. And that's also why it's extremely bad if you have mold on this kind of materials, because the mold is really eating into the material, and by that, even if you can wash it off later, it will leave marks which show up as lighter or darker color stains on the garment forever. The second very important factor is it must be humid enough. You need a high humidity. I know that some biologists they might roll their eyes, but in very simple words, if the humidity goes up above 80%, mold will grow explosively. So, and that is the main reason why you get mold in a container, because you had too high humidity inside the container. And the main reason you have too high humidity in the container is because you put in garments which had too high moisture content. Because there is a relation between the moisture content of the garments in the container and the humidity in the air. If you put a very wet garment into a room with a dry climate, the humidity in that room will go up until it reaches a certain equilibrium. The other way is also right. If you put a dry garment into a room with a very high humidity, the humidity will go down until, again, there is a specific equilibrium reached. Now, the problem is that this equilibrium is different for different textile materials. So, for example, for cotton in average, if it has 8.5% moisture content, the equilibrium humidity in the room will be roughly 65%. And that is why, for example, our current limit in moisture measurement for cotton is 8.5%. What we also have to understand is that the water in the garments and the water in the air is vastly different. We have by far much more water in the garments than the air in the container ever can hold. To get a perspective for this, at 30 degrees, 80% humidity is around 30 gram per cubic meter. So you only need, like in 1 cubic meter of air, 30 gram of water. So for example, if we have a 40-foot high cube container, this container has around 67 cubic meter. But if you put it really full of garments, you might have only 3 cubic meters of air left in the container. The majority will be filled by the garments. So for 3 cubic meter of air to get it over 80% humidity, the only thing you need is like 100 gram of water. But if at the same time in that container you have 10 tons of garments with 10% of moisture, you will have like 1 ton, 1,000 kg of water in the container bound in the garments. So there is a high leverage effect of the moisture in the garments. So we are measuring the moisture of the garments not because we are interested in the moisture of the garments. We are measuring this in order to make sure that later inside the container we do not get above 80% humidity. I will leave a link at the end of the video where I showed this effect on a very small container and show how mold will grow in a container if you put garments with too high moisture content inside. Now, our beloved Marlow is not measuring a moisture. What it is measuring is it measures surface resistivity of the fabric which you are measuring. Because that is another shortcoming. The surface resistivity of textile will change with its moisture content. So as they cannot directly measure the moisture content with that device, what they are doing is they are measuring the surface resistivity, and then inside the device they have a database for a certain number of materials and a certain number of material mixes. And that is what makes these instruments so expensive. Because there are years and years of research behind that to get all these databases which have the correlation between the surface resistivity and the moisture content. Marlow is doing control units for the textile industry since over 100 years, and they have a vast experience in moisture measurement. We tested other devices, none of them can hold the water to Marlow. Very common in the market is that water buoy. The problem is in our trials, the water buoy is giving very unreliable results, plus it has as good as no different materials or different material mix. Now, as I said, our procedure, which we are doing since 7 years, it works. But it has certain disadvantages. First of all, is the price of this thing it's not cheap. It costs around €2,500. But on the other hand, if you lose one container of wool sweaters, €2,500 is absolutely nothing. But there is another disadvantage, and that is Marlow works very good for the materials and the material mixtures which it has in its database. But these are only 2 material mixtures. And we very often do very funny material compositions where they obviously clean the floor in the spinning mill and we have 6, 7 different materials inside. Now in that case, we take that fabric and do certain trials here in our office to find out which setting of the Marlow will come closest to the actual moisture content in this specific fabric. But this makes it very complicated for other users of this device. Plus, it is very difficult to understand for the people. We have different limits for different materials. Then in case of mixtures, we have certain rules, like for example up to 10% we ignore a material, which makes the whole measurement not more precise actually. So the major disadvantage is not the price, because the price compared to what your risk as a supplier is to lose a full container, this price for this device is nothing for you. But it is complicated. And that is the reason why I thought of something else. I thought of something else since I found this device on Amazon. This is a comparatively cheap device. Right now it's $45. And this little device, it consistently measures the humidity and the temperature in the room. It's a very simple device. It doesn't have any buttons. It's always on. It always measures. Every minute it takes a measurement of the temperature and the humidity of the surrounding air. And as we want to avoid that the garments we put in the container are driving the humidity in the container over 80%, we could use a small container. And when I say small container, it can be a box like this, for example. So we could put a number of garments in that box together with that little device, and then see after half an hour or an hour whether inside that box, when we close it as airtight as possible, whether the humidity goes near to 80%. Now the advantage of this would be, it is very simple, because the user has to obey only very simple rules, and there will be only one number which doesn't depend on the garments which you put inside. And this number will be 72%. So if after 1 hour the humidity in that box goes over 72%, then our measurement will be a fail and the garments have to be dried. So for this, we do not need any tables, we do not need to memorize different limits for different materials or calculate what will be the limit for a certain material mix. So we just have one procedure which will be the same no matter what kind of material you are putting in that box. And it will have always the same limit. Plus, it's relatively cheap. It just costs $45 US. Now this is this little device. It's very simple. This hole here is just to put a string. You can hang it somewhere. What is important is this here is the sensor. So whatever you do, you never are allowed to cover that sensor. In all the measurements we are doing, this sensor has to be absolutely not blocked. You cannot put it like this, or you can also not put it like on garments like this. This one always has to be freely accessible for the surrounding air. Now the thing is, you can download an app which is called tempi.fi. I will also leave a link at the end of the video because in some areas you will not be able to find this on the Android store or on the Apple store. For Android, there is a possibility to download the program file from somewhere else and install it manually on your phone. If you get the device new, the only thing you have to do is install this app, open the app, and it will greet you with add a sensor. So you just say add a sensor and it will search for the sensor. And here it found one. Then it will ask what you will monitor. Just take a room. Whatever you can say, my room. Doesn't matter really, because the measurements will be the measurements. You can set alerts, which we can say if it is below 25%, because that rarely happens, and if it is above 72%. And then you will get a notification on your handphone. Then some important news which you can read yourself. And you will see the temperature and the humidity in the room right now. As I said, it will measure temperature, not so interesting for us, and humidity every minute. So you can also choose between centigrade and Fahrenheit. As I said, temperature is not so important for us. Now here, because it's a new device, you won't see any graph. Later, you will see a graph of around last 1 hour. But you can also export the data just by clicking on here. It needs access to your photos, medias, and files. So you have to grant this. And here you can choose from which point in time to which point in time you want to export it to CSV. This makes it very simple because the device because the device is consistently measuring. Now you can also see the graph is coming here. So it is consistently measuring every minute, and you don't have to be near to the device. It's connected by Bluetooth. So yeah, when you connect it, make sure that your Bluetooth is on. It's connected by Bluetooth, and whenever you go away, do something, if you come after 1 hour, the device will automatically upload the last hour of data to your handphone. Now this device is running on a battery, which is easy to replace. The maker of that little thing says it's good for like 1 year of consistent measurement. Luis is showing us how it's done. The first you have to do is take the garments out of the poly bag before you put them in the box. Because the poly bag will just prolong the time it takes before you get the equilibrium. Everything else you leave on the garment, like hang tags, like here in case of a shirt, all the packing material, don't unpack it. Just take it out of the poly bag and then place it in the box. When you do that, try to space them evenly in the box. It would be actually good if we would have a little rack inside, so that there is also air between the garments. But like this is good enough. Do not compress the garments, and also do not try to push them down. Just like we are doing it right now here, as fluffy as possible. It would be also better if we would have a bigger box, because right now we are trying to fit in 20 garments. Let's see how many garments we can fit in this relatively little box. The thing is, if, for example, you have to check 32 garments, then you will have to do like maybe 2 or even 3 rounds. So, and then every round is not allowed to have more than 72% humidity after 1 hour. Okay, like as I said, this box is relatively small. It's under 45 liter. I recommend that the supplier gets plastic boxes with 100, at least better 200 liter. That you can check 32 garments, because here now we could only fit 15 garments. I think we could also fit one more, but absolutely not more, because we don't want to compress the garments inside the box. So like in a case like you have only a box in that size, you have to measure 32 garments. Either you have to have two of these devices and two boxes, or you have to do one after the other. Now, another thing which is very important is you should take the garments for moisture measurement, and as soon as possible put them into this box. Do not leave the garments for hours in an air-conditioned room, because they will lose a lot of moisture which they got once you pick them up from the shop floor. So there should be no long time between taking the samples from the shop floor and putting them in this box. That should happen below half an hour. Now, what we also will do is we will put a little pocket fan on medium speed inside, and then we will place the tempi.fi with the sensor facing inside the box, and the sensor, as said before, not to be blocked by garments. And then we close. And this is no box with an airtight lid. So what you can do is just take some tape and try to make it as airtight as possible. It doesn't have to be 100% airtight. We are not in a museum, but just try to close it as airtight as possible. Make sure that when you are closing the lid, that you don't knock off the tempi.fi. Where is it? Here. Here it is. So don't knock it off. If you knocked it off, it falling with the sensor against the garments, just open the lid again and place it back in a way that it's not obstructed. And that is basically it. And now you can do whatever you want. Just note the time. Here is now around 10:25. So we will come back after an hour, and then just see where is the humidity inside that box. Is it in the safe zone? That means below 72%, or is it above? You can also check after half an hour. If after half an hour it's below 70%, you can say it's a pass. If it is slightly above 70% but below 72%, you have to wait another hour. So, and then we will come back in 1 hour, because there we can also then extract the data from the tempi.fi, and then we can also see how was it after half an hour. We are back. It's around 1 hour later. Now you can take a little bit more than an hour also. Doesn't matter, because when we are looking now, okay, now you can see the temperature, which is not so important, and the humidity, and the maximum humidity it reached after 1 hour is around 53.3%. That would be a pass. Now you can just take a screenshot. Or you can export the data. When you export the data, you can choose from which date. Actually, I used this before, that's why it still has old data. So we take today, 11:25. To today 10:25, sorry. 10:25, and then export to CSV. Now you can save it, or what I am doing is I'm sending that to my own email address. And this is how a report from the tempi.fi app looks like. In the first row, you can see when the report was taken. The second row shows the sensor name and the serial number. In the third row, you can see for which period the data will be shown. In the first column A, you see the date and the time. Here we can see every 1 minute it takes a measurement. And for us, important is only the last column, where you can see the humidity. Now, it's easy in Excel to generate a graph out of this. Now here, this one looks like a lot was going on, but this actually has more to do with the scale. If we are looking at the scale from 0 to 100, then we can see a much more regular picture here. It was all the hour, it didn't move much. It's basically the same humidity as we had in the office. And we can clearly see it is significantly below the danger zone, which actually starts above 70%, but really it becomes risky if we would exceed 80% humidity, which we did not. So this is a clear pass. Now, as you see, to take the data, you don't have to open the box. Just when you come back, the device will upload the data to your handphone, from which you can export it as a screenshot or as an Excel file. Luis will now open the thing. And just for the sake of it, he will then measure all the garments which were inside the box, with our beloved Marlow device. We checked all the moisture content with the beloved Marlow, and this is the result, which would also with our traditional SOP be a clear pass. Okay, so as you could see, this is a very easy, very fast method to check whether your garments are too moist and might cause mold in the container. The thing is very simple. Get a plastic box. We recommend to use a plastic box at least with 100 liters, better 200 liters. You get one of these little devices, and costs you only 45 US dollars. You get a small fan which runs on battery, which you can put inside the box to increase the exchange of air, and then you just leave it for 1 hour. The advantage is that you don't need this Marlow device for a final inspection. But let me be very clear, for suppliers, I still recommend that you have at least one Marlow device for in-production checks. Because for that, the Marlow device in a lot of the cases is a very fast method to see whether you have a problem or not in your garments. You could see Luis was measuring 15 garments within a few minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So for in-production checks, this method which we showed right now is not to be used, because for that it's far too time consuming compared to fast checks with the Marlow device. But let me be very clear, for suppliers, I still recommend that you have at least one Marlow device for in-production checks. But let me be very clear, for suppliers, I still recommend that you have at least one Marlow device for in-production checks. But for final inspection, we will start using this method. We will still give our QC the Marlow device, because for a few months we just want to see how this method performs in practice. But for cases where the supplier doesn't have a Marlow device, where a third-party inspection is done without a Marlow device, which is mainly the case for third-party suppliers to IBC. In those cases, you can right away start using this method. The only precondition from the supplier side is that the supplier gets these kind of plastic boxes, which are really very, very cheap. So I recommend for every supplier, for smaller garments, to buy at least 4 boxes, best 200 liter, not so good 100 liter, but at least the boxes should have 100 liter content. Now, so far so good for shirts. But what if we have something like this? I mean, let's try this with our box which we used for the shirts. This is unfortunately not good for anything, because in our little 43 liter box, we cannot put even one of these garments. So what the heck are we doing now? It's very simple. We just need a bigger box. And when I say big, I mean big. Now for final inspection, you will always have just one gown type, one article, and you should not mix them up. You should really check article by article. According to our normal standard procedure, you take the same number of garments which you have to draw for measurement checks, for dimensional measurement checks. So here we have 32 very voluminous garments. 32. Let's see how many Louis can fit into our 1,200 liter plastic box. Now this is our little 1,200 liter box, which cost us around 60 euro plus transport, but I guess most of our suppliers will find a supplier near to them who can send them this type of big box. Now if you are doing voluminous garments, there can be this type of jackets, but it can also be very thick sweaters. You will have to buy boxes at least 1,000 liter. Better like this, 1,200 liter. Now let's see how many of these of this hill of 32 big jackets we can fit in. Surprise, surprise! We did fit in all the 32 garments in our 1,200 liter box. When you put in the garments, don't push them down, just loosely put them. And also don't put too many garments above the rim and then later press them down with the lid. Like this is perfect. Now we put in the fan.
You can also put the fan together with the battery because normally they don't last longer than 1.5 hours. And then we put the device. Now again, make sure that the device has the sensor up and that the sensor is not blocked by any garments. Yeah, and now we close the lid. And on these really big boxes, normally they will absolutely not be airtight. We take some adhesive tape to make sure that it is as airtight as possible. Then we note down the time. Right now it is, what is the time?
12:14.
12:14. And as I said before, like if this is now your lunchtime, you don't have to rush back to be there 1 hour exactly later. You can be also a little bit more than 1 hour. It doesn't matter because later you can download just the data of 1 hour. If it is more, the better. And again, we will see if the humidity in the box will go above 72%. Okay, now we are back and it's a little bit longer than an hour. The result we got is this is the graph. On that graph you will see a spike of 63%. That is when we touched the tempi.fi in a way that our finger was over the sensor. So that's another thing you shouldn't do when you handle that tempi.fi. Don't put your hand or your finger on top of the sensor. But you can see the humidity in that big 1,200 liter box. It went up to 54%, and this would be also a clear pass. For this, it is essential that if you are a supplier, that you are buying these kind of boxes now. Depending on what kind of garments you are producing, either smaller boxes like 200 liter, or if you are doing really big garments, then you have to get some of these big boxes. We recommend at least 1,000 liter, better like what we have in that video, 1,200 liter. Now, before we actually made this instruction video, we also carried out certain trials to prove that this new method really can work. For that we also used 20 shirts, all made out of 100% cotton. So Luis will now measure each of the 20 garments. First he will measure what is the moisture content, using our Marlow device, and then weigh the garment. From the weight of the garment and the moisture content, we could easily calculate the dry weight, which we later will use to determine how much water we have to spray on the garments to reach a certain moisture level which we wanted. This was the result of that first measurement. We can see for the 20 shirts what was their total weight, how much was the moisture as per Marlow, and from that what is the dry weight of the garments. You can also see that the theoretical average moisture content in these 20 garments was 5.4%. So this result as a moisture measurement would be a clear pass. And this was the humidity graph for the first half hour. So there we can also clearly see it's always staying around 60%, and it's also with our new process would be a clear pass. Based on the dry weight, I could then determine what should be the weight after adding some water spray on the garments to get the garment to a desired moisture level, which we did then in the next trials, where we deliberately increased the moisture level of some of the shirt. Now this is the moisture level of these 20 shirts in the fourth trial which we did. This is actually a result which would be in the current SOP, right on the edge. Most probably we would reject it because of the pretty high values of some of the garments, one with 10%. And this is the humidity graph of that fourth trial. And here we can see that after around 20 minutes it exceeded 72%. So as this case would be like right on the edge, it could have been overruled in the past. That is why we choose to use 72% as a failure criteria. We also created a definite fail. Like if we get this kind of measurement results for 100% cotton, you can see the theoretical average moisture in these garments would be 9.8%, while our current limit for 100% cotton would be 8.5. So this one would be a clear fail in our old procedure. And this was the graph for the humidity in the box. Here I marked after half an hour it was over 73%, and after 1 hour it was 74.5%. We can also see that in cases of real high moisture, it will further increase. It finally, which is not shown here after around 10 hours, it reached 78.5%. So measurement like this after 1 hour at 74.5% would be a clear fail. And as mentioned earlier, in this process, if it is above 72% humidity at any point within 1 hour, it will be a fail and there will be no change of this verdict.